Honorable members, there will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. You may be seated. Yeah. Honorable Premier, honorable members and guests, good afternoon. We are now moving to statements by members. Are there any member statements? Maybe before that, honorable members, just a reminder to honorable members that in terms of our rules, the time allocation for statements is as follows. Each statement is 1.5 minutes. A response to the statement is 2 minutes, and a maximum of 5 statements are allowed as per this rule. Rule 93. Thank you very much. Honorable Makarenge.
Honorable Speaker, Hartsbanda District Municipality is well known for its mixed farming products. The district has all sorts of agricultural programs and products such as maize production, cattle farming, potatoes, beans, wool, piggery, nuts, subtropical fruits, and many more good stories to be proud of. The district and the Msukalikwa municipality in particular is the home of the Untitled Agricultural Development and Research Center for Crop Farming and Animal Husbandry. We are proud of all these positive developments and request the Honorable MEC to please use all the above successes to reduce unemployment to give the young men and women in Hartsbanda District Municipality. The district has too much to offer, especially in the agriculture field. The farmers in the district need more help from the Department of Agriculture as well as we all work towards a radical economic transformation in agriculture. We continue to applaud the department and the Honorable MEC Shongwe for the steering work done in the above mentioned district. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, Honorable MEC Shongwe.
Bonga na kumhlonishwa uChairperson we-Portfolio Committee ubaba uMakaring. Indeed, iHertzbande ingenye yeyifundazwe Mpumalanga ezikhiqizako kakhulu zonke le nhlobo yokudla bekakubala nale Msukalikwa as a sub-region nale Untitled Research Center. Mhlawumbe kubalulekile somlomo ngisho la kule ndlu yesishayamthetho nakubantu baseMpumalanga ukuthi le research center lapha eMsukalikwa it's one of the best in the country. Ilaba kukhona noma sihlaselwa iarmy worm ama-scientists ala department enze khona i-research ayikhona nokuyilapha le army worm. I-army worm kwelesibungu besidlumbile. So siyasebenza kakhulu kunama-programs abo-Fortune 40 abo sizonda indlala sizonda insila akhona khona lapha eHertzbande nalapha eMsukalikwa in particular. Abantu abasha bayasebenza. Siyabonga kakhulu mhlonishwa ukuthi sisaphila sisasebenza kulombuso wamama uRefilwe Mthweni Tsipane. Ubone ukuthi thina makasithumile senza exactly lokho kokusiza abantu bakithi. Siyabonga.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC. Any other member statement? Honorable Nyembe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise on behalf of EFF to raise a member statement about the shooting that took place on Tuesday, the 10th March 2020 at Emalahleni Hlalani Kahle Extension. It is so sad that when a community was raising the issues of service delivery, they were shot at. At a close range, some were followed into their houses like Ms. Nkele Malibe. It has become a norm that the community always experience police brutality. Even women are shot at their houses while seeking clarity as to why their electricity was cut off. Recently, the police shot dead Colin George Masego of Ward 25 Nkomazi, Langenhoop. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Shongwe, the leader of government business. Oh, Honorable, sorry, Honorable Shabalala.
Ngibonge somlomo. Angicale ngokuvelana nemindeni especially lapha kulahleka khona umphefumulo ngalesikhathi emaphoyisa azama mhlambe ku stabilize la kusuke kunganakuthula khona kuma communities wethu. Ngisamukele nalesi statement lesiraiswa ngumhlonishwa lapha. Angisho ukuthi kunetindlela zokukhulumisana dikhona letinhlelo ngaphakathi iIP dibukane naloko lapho umama phoyisa angendi kahle khona kodwa asivumelani nokubulawa kwebantu asivumelani futhi nokubulawa kwemaphoyisa ngoba emaphoyisa asuke atosigada asuke atosiphephisa endesho ukuthi wonke umuntu uvikelekile. So lesiphakamiso lesi sisho kona ukuthi kusafuna sifundzisane nalemphakathini ukuthi uma emaphoyisa sewafikile kuyini lokufanele sikwende nawo futhi kufuna sikhulumisane nawo ukuthi kuthatha ini ukuthi kudubuleke umuntu ngenhlavu lebulalako basichazele kahle kukhulunyisana netakhamumuntu kodwa esikhatsini esiningi emaphoyisa asuka atosilamula asuka atoletha ukuthi kube nestability bantu bakhona ke emsebenzini bugebe kungabi khona ngalesikhathi bantu bakithi ba protest. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much, MEC. Any other member statement? Honorable Stolle.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to deliver a member statement on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. Honorable Speaker, in 2018, the Auditor General findings revealed that a tender to the value of 9.9 million was awarded to Junox 210cc to supply photocopies to the Mpumalanga Legislature, despite that company being disqualified during the bidding process for not having tax clearance certificate. The Auditor General further revealed that Frugad Code CC was awarded 19.6 million tender for security and data integrity, and the Auditor General found that this company was not supposed to get the tender because it used a SEP accreditation that was not registered under its name. When all this was brought to the attention of our Honorable Premier, Umama Refilwe Tsipane, she said she is still applying her mind on what action to take against those who are responsible. Honorable Speaker, in 2018, former Speaker Violet Suela instituted an investigation into how this legislature forced two companies into a joint venture. This investigation costed 250,000 of taxpayers' money, but the report is hidden from the public. Honorable Speaker, why does this government waste taxpayers' money by instituting forensic investigations but hide reports from these investigations? Why even bother to do an investigation then? When are we going to release the forensic report for Tabachwe, Dr. J.S. Moroka, Governor Mbeki, and Lekwa local municipalities? These reports are long overdue. When are we releasing the report from the investigation that was instituted by the former Speaker, Umama Violet Suela? Honorable Speaker, I know it has become a norm for this government to blame apartheid for its corrupt activities, but please don't start blaming coronavirus as an excuse to steal our money.
Member.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable MEC Shongwe, the leader of government business.
Ngibonge kakhulu Somlomo. Ngibonge nakumhlonishwa ngesiphakamiso asiphakamisayo njengomsebenzi wakhe amele abantu eParliament. Uma bona izinto zingahambi kahle kufanele asukume azihambise ngomkhakha wakhona. Singatholi iplatform yaseParliament kuphela ukukhuluma ngalezinto. Futhi ke ngiyajabula ngoba umhlonishwa uyasho uthi ukhuluma ngelegislature ngonyaka othile ubalako bo2019 and so on. Ilegislature leyakhuluma ngayo wazi kahle umhlonishwa ukuthi ilegislature iphathwa nguSpeaker. I-institution on its own ine-leader yakhona enguSpeaker o-qualified ukuyi-leader ngayo yonke into. Upremier akangena indawo endabeni zaselegislature. Upremier uphethe i-executive uphethe thina. Uma ngabe kukhona kwenziwe ngithi okwrong, upremier uyangena lapha athi shongwe lapha ka-agriculture la ngokuthume khona utshontshe 1 2 3 ufuna kufake investigation ngokufake ibruku ligcwala umoya ligcwala umoya nalugcwala. So ke legislature yonke lento azibalile zinengi speaker nalonyaka ondlulile leminyaka ibalako mhlawumbe sesikhohliwe nokuyikhohlwa speaker.
Just a minute. Honorable Sithole.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise on Rule 37 on a point of order. Honorable Speaker, everything that I have raised actually involves the former Speaker, of course, because the legislature is under a Speaker, and Ubaba Shongwe is right, and that is why I've raised it, because it happened under the leadership of MEC Shongwe as the Speaker, and it was reported to the Honorable Premier. So I
Okay.
followed the right processes. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Sithole, that point of order is sustained. Honorable Shongwe, you may continue with your answering.
Umhlonishwa ngimthanda kabi ngoba nalama rules and orders uyathanda kwa quote. Awuphinda wahlanganise sometimes asakhohliwe. Loma rules lawa waquotako awasho ukuthi ilegislature seyiphethwe ngupremi. No, ahleli njalo athi legislature iphethwe nguSpeaker. So izinto zenzeka ngaleso sikhathi azibalile umhlonishwa. Kuyawufaneleke ukuthi as institution sithole ama fact kuye umhlonishwa ngoba kubonakala ngathi unawo awalethe sihlale phansi siwabuke bese simnikeze report ngesikhathi siyabonga.
Siyabonga. Thank you very much. Any other member?
Legislature hayi mina.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing ngiyasho ukuthi legislature sengibeka nje in figurative
Yeah, no,
language.
honorable members.
Ungangimemezi.
Order, please. Order, honorable member. Honorable Shongwe, time is up. Thank you very much. Any other member statement? Honorable. Any other member statement? Oh, you don't have, okay. We're now moving to executive statement. Are there any executive statement? Honorable MEC Manzin, you can move to this side so that
Yeah,
they can be able to hear you well, because it's a executive statement, that one, so that for the benefit of all who are here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise on an executive statement to indicate to the House that the whole world has been shaken by the outbreak of coronavirus 19, known as COVID-19, which is a new strain of coronavirus that has not been previously identified in humans. It was first identified in Wuhan, in China, where it has caused a large and ongoing outbreak. The COVID-19 virus is closely related to a bad coronavirus. The outbreak has been declared by the World Health Organization as a public health emergency of international concern and a serious risk to multiple countries, and thus needs a concerted international effort in order to control the spread of the disease. South Africa diagnosed its first case on the 4th of March 2020, and by yesterday evening, were the total number of 13 reported cases in the country. The province has seen 9 suspected cases with a history of traveling abroad, and 6 of them tested negative, and we are still waiting for the results of the 2 cases. And I can announce as a province, we are now having 1 positive COVID-19 cases confirmed yesterday night at about 11 o'clock. The patient visited Orlando, Florida via Dubai. She arrived at OR Tambo International Airport via Dubai on the 8th of March and stayed overnight with her father in Johannesburg before driving to Mpumalanga on the 9th of March. The House has to note that all confirmed cases that test positive for the coronavirus are being announced by the Minister to show the commitment of the country in managing this global outbreak of the virus. Our team is already out to trace the contact, as the lady is a salesperson in an electric shop while the husband is a banana packer. The couple has been brought to Rob Ferreira Hospital today for further assessment. The specialist is satisfied that they can be self-quarantined at home, and our teams will follow them up. So there's no patient at Rob Ferreira as we're speaking with the coronavirus. We have seen several fake news that were and still are being circulated through the media, scaring our community members that the province has had some COVID-19 positive cases in Witbank, Rob Ferreira, Matibidi Hospital, and some has a view. We have to urgently dismiss the misleading news, and we are still appealing to our communities to refrain from creating such fake news. Honorable Speaker, it is of high importance that we all understand that the spread of the virus has been established to be through person-to-person transmission, and the main route of transmission is through respiratory droplets, cough and sneezes. Contaminated surfaces of objects with a respiratory droplet can also transmit the virus, and the virus has also been isolated in stools. It is further important that we know the signs and symptoms, which are fever, cough, difficulty in breathing, general body pains, and diarrhea. There should be a high index of suspicion, especially when a person has a documented travel history to countries with ongoing COVID-19 outbreak within 14 days before symptoms onset, or had a close physical contact with a confirmed patient with COVID-19 while he or she is symptomatic. We can all play a role in prevention of the spread of the virus with the following easy hygiene practices. Practice hand hygiene frequently. Wash hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Cover nose or mouth when coughing or sneezing. Use a flex, elbow, or tissue. Avoid contact with person with cold flu-like symptoms. Practice routine cleaning of frequently touched surfaces, including tables, doorknobs, light
50
switches.
seconds
Avoid
left.
contact with the. And Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Premier, because already she has addressed the media in the province to make sure that everyone remain calm, so that if there's any cases, they are able to come forward to us as department. We are ready, working with National. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MEC Manzini. I will now give for comments on each party, 3 minutes. Yes, I will start with the leader of the opposition party, EFF.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The EFF call on government to institute urgent measures to protect the poor people of Mpumalanga from the COVID-19 and not just monitor the country point of entry. The majority of our people use alternative modes of transport, and our country borders do not start and end at OR Tambo International Airport. Like in our province, we have Libombo, Oshuk, Mananga border posts, as well as KMIA and Skukuza airports, all as entry points. What tracking mechanism has the department devised for township, rural, and public spaces so far? How would you track down taxi, bus, and train passengers who are sitting next to an infected person? The MEC must conduct a comprehensive stakeholder and community engagement plan of action to inspire and coordinate a multi-sectoral and partnered intervention. We must also conduct a massive awareness campaign in all places of mass gatherings such as taxi ranks, bus terminals, shopping malls, churches, etc. The department must also find out the monthly cost of dealing with coronavirus should it seep into the province, since such virus is a bigger threat to the poor who will not have the means to buy food in bulk and lock themselves in their houses. The EFF urges the MEC to treat this scourge as other destructive diseases, such as the Ebola outbreak. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From the DA,
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable MEC, the DA agrees with you on keeping the Mpumalanga residents informed and safe. The DA also condemns the spreading of fake news, which causes unnecessary fear and panic. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable MEC and all the professional healthcare professionals are going to need as much support now more than ever. Healthcare professionals are bearing the brunt of this global pandemic, and government must support them in this fight. Honorable MEC, just yesterday I listened to a doctor on radio who said in our province, we only have Rob Ferreira as identified a hospital to deal with coronavirus. If this is the case, Honorable MEC, the casualty in Rob Ferreira is going to be inundated, as people are suspecting that they might have, as are encouraged to actually go and test, and most of our people in our province don't have medical aids. Honorable MEC, the DA believes that it is inevitable that Mpumalanga will have its fair share of the virus, but we need to identify clinics across the province to deal with the virus, not only Rob Ferreira, because that is not enough. Honorable Speaker, the MEC must also stock up on medicine, protective gear, and medical equipment to assist the medical personnel in this fight. And Honorable Speaker, the most important one, the vacancies within the Department of Health needs to be filled, because you cannot go to war with skeleton staff. We need to fill this matter, we need to fill these vacancies as a matter of agency. And I believe Mpumalanga Executive must lift the moratorium, because now more than ever, we need more healthcare professionals in our healthcare facilities. Honorable MEC, we cannot be complacent, as you have also said so, and wait for the virus to cripple us before we react. We need to be armed before the virus hits us, because we cannot run away from it. It is going to hit us, and we need to be ready. Honorable MEC, the people of Mpumalanga need to be informed on a daily basis from your department on the status of the province, not only on the national statistics, as this would able to curb and stop the spread of fake news. An update from your office is crucial
50
at this point in
seconds.
time. An update from your office is crucial at this point in time, so that the people remain calm and not panic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. FF Plus.
Madam Speaker, I concur with a lot of the statements that were made by the Honourable Leader of the Democratic Alliance. In our opinion, the coronavirus is not our biggest problem. Our biggest problem is the state of inefficiency in our hospitals. It is a tragic state of affairs.
Point of order.
Take your seat. Honorable Sedibe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Lomlisa ulahla indlu is misleading the House. Uma ati coronavirus is not inkinga yabo lenkulu. Precisely because coronavirus kwamanje inabo laba bamhlophe ngoba ngiba ba traveler thina abantu abamnyama sinalo. Thank you.
Honorable. No. Honorable Webb, you can continue.
I thank the Honourable Member of this House for a very interesting comment. I want to repeat that the state of our hospitals are in such a state that we are going to battle to contain this virus. I have seen hospitals which are full. Patients are lying in the passages. There is an acute shortage of professional people, doctors and nurses. And I believe that we are going to battle to contain this disease, which has been declared a pandemic we are not ready to contain it at this point in time, and therefore I will plead that we do everything possible to strengthen our situation so that we can contain this pandemic efficiently. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Webb. ANC?
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. The African National Congress welcomes the executive statement that has been presented by the Honorable MEC. We appreciate mostly that the executive statement seeks to ensure that people are not, do not panic, and that our government is hands-on to ensure that the spread of the coronavirus is well managed and controlled. But we further appreciate mostly that this statement, it provides clarity on the fake news that we have seen on social media about people that have been affected with coronavirus, because it was causing, these fake news were causing panic to, in fact, the people. We call on the department to move with speed to ensure that we prepare in advance facilities to ensure that should the spread of coronavirus reach a stage where we need to quarantine people, that we have such facilities to ensure that we have facilities to quarantine people. We appreciate the speedy response with regards to the 9 suspected cases, that the department have also responded to those 9 people. And the 1 victim that has been confirmed, we wish him and his family, or her and her family, a speedy recovery. As the ANC, we appreciate and welcome that the department has moved with speed and that our government is providing leadership and clarity with regards to the impact of the coronavirus. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. We're now moving to motions without notice. Are there any motions without notice? Honorable Tabete?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to move a motion without notice for this Honorable House to congratulate the efforts made by the ANC Chief Whip in the legislature together with the Minister of State Security for organizing the community of Mpumalanga and stakeholders around Mpumalanga to fight against crime. The community of Secunda and Mpumalanga has been recorded in particular by crime statistics that it's one of the among places that has high rate of crime. They've reported crime in the province of Mpumalanga. This includes all public categories of crime such as murder, theft, robbery, gangsterism, assault, burglary, and amongst others. Further noting that the launch declared that enough is enough. From now onwards, the community will come together and adopt a long-term community safety and
50 seconds.
upliftment
46.
an upliftment program which will be implemented as collective program by the community of Mpumalanga. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to? So agreed. Thank you. Any other motions without notice? Honorable Mfokeng?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise on behalf of the EFF to register our disappointment with regard to the manner in which the admission of learners in the boarding schools built at Mkondo local municipality, one in Solmkhize and another in Amsterdam, Machado Top, Belfast, and Leidenburg. Speaker, the purpose of building these boarding schools was to assist learners from surrounding villages and farms with conducive learning environment that has accommodation to reduce the long traveling from and to schools. To our shock, Honorable Speaker, during our visit at both schools in Mkondo local municipality, we established that an estimated 40% of the learners admitted are not from the targeted villages or farms. As the EFF, we reiterate that the department must consider the local learners when processing application for admission in the boarding schools. I so move.
Thank you. The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to? So agreed. Thank you. Any other motions without Honorable Grobler?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise to deliver a motion without notice on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. Honourable Speaker, noting that Mr. Samkelo Ngomane from Mashushu was recently crowned as Mr. Mpumalanga during a very prestigious event. Further noting that Mr. Ngomane is currently a student at the University of Mpumalanga in a Bachelor's of Science, and is the youngest contestant in the history of this competition to walk away with the title. Further noting that his runner-up is Mr. Bethiel Mbebe, and the two of them will be advocating the cause of a boy child also needs protection and education. Honourable Speaker, I move that this House sends the two of them, Mr. Mpumalanga, Samkelo Ngomane, and his runner-up, wishes of congratulations, and that we wish them the best for their challenges for the year of their tenure ahead. I so move.
Thank you. The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to? So agreed. Thank you. Any other motion without notice, Honourable Webb?
Honourable Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus as a to put a motion without notice as a matter of principle. I am the leader of the Freedom Front Plus in this province, and I'm not being paid for that. I have been elected to the legislature, and I have been paid, and I'm being paid a salary. And it is a matter of principle that if I am being paid a salary, I must perform my duties in the legislature. I have raised my concerns about this issue at a number of occasions in-house without response. Then I wrote a letter to the Speaker to ask for the attendance register to see how many meetings I have attended and how many meetings the leader of the Democratic Alliance has attended. And in order to solve this matter in-house, I was then publicly challenged on this basis, and I have to respond because of the fact that I have been publicly challenged. And therefore, I want to divulge what I have received from the Speaker. In die afgelope jaar was daar 17 sittings geweest, waarvan ek 15 bygewoon het. Die leier van die Demokratiese Alliansie het slegs 7 bygewoon. Sy sit op 2 komitees. Die een komitee het 16 sittings gehad, waarvan sy 3 bygewoon het. Die ander komitee was daar 15 sittings, waarvan sy slegs 2 bygewoon het. Madam Speaker, this is a matter of principle. The principle is if you are being paid by the legislature to do your services here, then you have to perform your services here and attend most of the meetings that you ought to attend. I so move.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agree? The motion stays defeated. Thank you. Honourable Member, order please. Thank you. Any motions without notice? Honourable Mlombo? Honourable Stole, order please.
Honourable Speaker, I hope they will give us an opportunity to raise the motion. I, Fana Vincent Mlombo, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, hereby moves a motion without notice that the House notes that the committee report on the Mpumalanga Second Adjustment Appropriation Bill, which is Bill 1 of 2020, shall be tabled in today's sitting by the Portfolio Committee on Premier's Office, Finance, Economic Development and Tourism for consideration by the August House. Further noting, Honourable Premier, that Rule 192, Sub-Rule 2 of the Rules and Orders of the Legislature provides that, I quote,
Honorable Speaker.
Okay. Honorable Mlombo, you can sit. Honorable.
Yeah, on a point of order, but I want to clarify. Are we on the motion without notice or are we on motions?
Motions without notice, Honorable.
Yeah, but the honorable member is raising a motion. What is raising for a budget speech to be debated here? It's a motion, which we should have raised in the motion item. It's not relevant to a motion without notice. It's out of order.
May I be advised, please? It's a motion. Okay, thank you very much. The advice is that it is a motion without notice because we dealt with in the programming, and also there are rules that must be suspended, Honorable, in terms of the rules, like the issues of debates and the like. So you can continue, Honorable Mlombo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I was on the further noting part. Further noting that Rule 192, Sub-Rule 2 of the Rules and Orders of the Legislature provides that, I quote, and that is the area that we were talking about, the Speaker must allow for the committee the committee's report to be debated in the legislature by some members from the relevant portfolio committee in accordance with the Speaker's list, close quote. Further note, Rule 194, Sub-Rule 6, which states that the report of the committee must be circulated to all members at least 2 working days before the debate. I therefore move that the House adopts a resolution in terms of Rule 4.1 to suspend the provision of Rule 192, Subsection 2, Sub-Rule 2, and Rule 194, Sub-Rule 6. That the report of the above-mentioned portfolio committee not to be debated in today's sitting, and secondly, that the time period of the 2 working days regarding the circulation of the committee report not be applicable in the said report. I so move, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mlombo. The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to? So is agreed. Thank you very much. We're now moving to notices of motion. Are there notices of motion? Honorable Sedibe.
Ngiyabonga Somlo. Ngisukuma ngokudumala lokukhulu. Kubona abantu bakithi bagcwele la from 10 o'clock ngenxa yokuthi abasebenzi or akunamsebenzi. So unfortunately akusiyo inhlangano ye-EFF lebusako manje. Uma kubusa thina bebangeke babe bakhona la bebato babasemsebenzini. So ngifuna ukuthi indlulise ukuthi kulesishamthetho lesitaba asihlale si.
Okay, Honorable Sedip, may you take your seat? Honorable Shongi, what is the point of order?
Mhlonishwa, ngokukhulu ukuhlonipha umhlonishwa uSedibe. Uma imemory yakhe imkhumbuza kahle. Le motion ayikhuluma namuhla akaqali kuyikhuluma. Uma ngingaphosisi sekwesithathu ayibiza le motion. Manje ke bengithi Somlomo
Point
umhlonishwa
of order, yes.
umhlonishwa akanamvumo yokubiza emotion inye more than 3 times, especially makabona abantu nje bamshayela izandla zingekho la.
Honorable Shongwe, in terms of the freedom of speech, the Honorable is given that opportunity to raise any matter. Conclude, Honorable.
Very progressive speaker. Into bengisho ukuthi ngicela ukuthi lesishamthetho kunalokuthi siloku sibabita batodla lama plate ngo1 bahambe banathela ama juice ntsamba amasathi bayodlana nakusasa bayodlana. Asihlanganeni sikhulumisaneni ukuthi sibayendela njani mathuba emsebeni. Lokufake phakathi kubanika umhlaba manje labanye ngolomnye ngabe utuke tractor lomnye ngabe uyalima lomnye ngabe indanga and so forth. Thank you.
Honorable Mlombo.
Honorable Speaker, can I correct one thing? The honorable member is misleading the House that the members in the gallery have been called to come and eat and go back. They have been called to come and participate in the sitting of the legislature, not to come and eat. The ANC government respects these members of the community or members of the public that are here. We cannot make a joke with them to call them to just come and eat and go. So the honorable member must please withdraw the statement that he has said. Thank you very much. Before you can continue.
Okay,
I
thank you.
don't have a problem with his notice of motion, but he must not mislead the House and the members in the public gallery.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mlombo. Honorable Sedibe, that point of order is sustained. Will you please withdraw the statement?
Okay, Honorable Speaker, for the sake of progress, mariting lungis, kuze bantu ba-understand. Angisho ukuthi batele kuhle.
Honorable Sedibe.
I
would you
withdraw
please
the part,
Okay.
but what I'm saying is that sibabitela kutobanika kuhle. They don't participate here. He's misleading the House. It's only Tine let's participate. Members of the gallery does not participate. They are not even allowed to clap a hand. So what are they here for? Eat and go.
No,
That's simple.
Honorable
That is why
Sedibe.
asibanike nimsebenzi. Uma ngabe be serious ngabo ngabe
Honorable
abekho la ma hours emsebenzi manje ngabe basemsebenzini bonke boshayisa ngo4. But we are only using them because sifuna betela
Honorable Sedibe.
batogcwalisa la basilekelele kuspenda le mali lama billion leniwathengile ngale kudla. I so move. Thank you.
Honorable Sedibe, the motion is noted and will be dealt with accordingly. But Honorable Sedibe, you know that as part of our mandate, public participation is one of our mandate as the legislature. We are here because of that. So when we invite people to participate, we are inviting them so that they can be able to see what is happening in the legislature and also to know in terms of the rules. Honorable Sedibe, no, don't do that. Yeah, no, don't do that. Now I'm talking and you are also talking. Okay, thank you very much. I was saying that we are inviting our guests as per part of our mandate of public participation. We can go to them in terms of taking legislature to the people. We can also invite them to the legislature. So it's just for that. So I'm glad that you have withdrawn the statement that you have said. Thank you very much. You are now moving to formal motions. I am informed that there are no formal motions. We will now proceed to the orders of the day. The Secretary shall read the first order of the day. Secretary.
Order number 1, questions for oral reply to the Premier.
I have a question paper in front of me with questions for oral reply to the Premier. I am informed that the question paper was duly circulated to all members of the legislature. We will now proceed to questions for oral reply. The Honorable Premier, over to you. Magem Twenitsipane. Question 1 from Honorable MC Sedibe, EFF. to ask the Honorable Premier. Honorable Premier.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for affording me an opportunity. May I pass my greetings to the honorable members of the Provincial Legislature, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, the Chief Whip of the ruling party, members of the Executive, and all members of the Legislature. The first question is from Honorable MC Sidibe from EFF. The question reads thus: the government is responsible through National Department of Minerals and Energy for issuing mining rights and licenses. Lily Mine had a valid license which they used to mine in our province. On the 5th of February 2020, we commemorated 4 years since the office container was swallowed by the ground, and in it there were 2 females and 1 male worker. To date, the container has not been located and retrieved. The first question, Honorable Premier, what has been your role and the level at which you have assisted the families of the deceased and the workers who have not had the salary for 4 years? In response, Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member Sidibe, as a citizen of this province and perhaps as a leader of the party that has developed more interest in this matter, should be aware of what the ANC-led government has done to assist the families of the deceased and the workers who lost their jobs since this Lily Mine tragic accident occurred in 2016. We have also taken note that the movement established by the former mayor of Johannesburg is now competing with the Honourable Member Sidibe for the unwarranted attention of the Lily Mine employees. It is indeed said that political parties are desperate to score political points over a tragic issue like the Lily Mine disaster. Maybe as a reminder, Honourable Speaker, let me take the Honourable Member down this unfortunate and horrific memory lane. I do this with a heavy heart, knowing very well that 3 of our people are still trapped underground. The member is correct to say that any matter that relates to the mining is the competency of the National Department of Mineral and Energy. From the very same day when this disaster happened, we dispatched our teams to go and assess the situation and report back to us. Our immediate main concern was the welfare of the families of the deceased. We were also concerned with the fate of the employees who had just lost their jobs. It should be remembered that Lily Mine and Babrook were operated by the same company. Lily Mine was more profitable than Babrook, and as a result, it was carrying the operational cost of the less profitable Babrook. When the accident occurred and Lily Mine was closed, Babrook could not continue operating without the income from Lily Mine. Both mines had to close, resulting in a loss of jobs of many people. You will also remember that the former Premier, now the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Didi Mabuza, accompanied by the Minister of Department of Mineral Resources, Mr. Msebenzi Zwane, visited the mine and promised to assist the families of the deceased and the workers. Working with our alliance partners, COSATU, their affiliates, National Union of Mine Workers, and the National Department of Mineral Resources, we were able to raise money from the Chamber of Mines, which resulted in the families of Priti Nkambule, Solomon Nyembe, and Yvonne Nisi receiving 200,000 each. Over and above this, workers were also directly employed by Lily Mine also received lesser compensation. I must hasten
to add that not all workers who worked for both these mines were compensated. There was an unresolved labor issue with the subcontracted workers. On our part, as provincial government, we provided all the families of the affected mine workers with food parcels for the period of more than a year. We also invited not only the mine workers who had lost their jobs, but the community of Louisville to register cooperatives and companies so that they could also benefit from the projects that the government was embarking upon in their area. We promised to build RDP houses in the area, and we did. We promised them a paved road which would employ some of the retrenched workers, and we did. We encouraged them to apply for bursaries for their children, and some of them received those bursaries. Occasionally, when resources became available during Christmas period, we do provide food parcels. The member is aware that food parcels are not a permanent feature of our government intervention. It is a temporary measure which is meant to alleviate immediate hardship. We also could not justify providing food parcels for a prolonged period of time to people who had been working at the mine and ignore hundreds of unemployed poor people who had not been working at all. The situation was unsustainable, hence we decided on using government social development programs to empower not just the mine workers who lost their job, but also the community of Louisville at large. The second question, have you ever had a formal meeting with the Department of Mineral and Energy or all stakeholders to discover the nature of the situation, problems encountered, and plans implemented to assist in resolving the tragedy? Madam Speaker, I must indicate that when the former Premier was the Premier, I was part of the delegation that he led at the time to engage with the stakeholders and the community at large in that area, and including working with the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. And however, we must also indicate that from time to time we do receive updates on the matter. The honourable member is aware that both these mines were placed under business rescue, and as things stand, the joint business rescue practitioners, Mr. Diveru and Mr. Terblanche, have been given the powers to try and save the mines. As government, we are unable to intervene since this is a private company with shareholders, directors, creditors, and debtors. It is governed by the relevant prescripts that deal with company laws, and once it is placed under business rescue, we cannot intervene. However, it is important to observe that the Lily Mine issue has been turned into a battlefield where companies and individuals are more concerned about their self-serving interests and are abusing our court system to disadvantage our people who need their jobs back. For the past 4 years, we have observed how companies are in and out of court trying to wrestle Lily Mine and Babrook from one another without focusing on how to attract investors, open up the mine, and begin with the process of retrieving the container that has the bodies of the 3 workers. Their families shall never have closure until they are able to give their deceased, their beloved ones, a dignified funeral that are in line with our culture and traditions. Question 3, how much will it cost to retrieve the container, and is the government prepared to fund such operation? In response, Madam Speaker, as government, we have never undertaken an assessment as to how much will it cost to retrieve this container. However, there has been an estimate from those in the mining sector of a figure between 200 million rand to 300 million rands. We simply cannot confirm these figures,
Both Lily Mine and Bar Brooks are owned by the private companies. It is the responsibility of these two companies to carry the cost of retrieving these bodies. Question 4. When is the mine going to reopen so that our people can go back to work? There has been no indication of when the mine will open again. As indicated earlier on, this is the responsibility of the business rescuers to resolve all outstanding issues and invite investors who are prepared to invest, re-employ our people who lost their jobs, and create more job opportunities. We would like to once more urge entities involved in litigation over the matter to expedite the process of reopening the mine. Our appeal is also directed to political parties, both established and newcomers not to use the plight and the sorrow of our people in Lily Mine and Bar Brook for their own political point scoring. This is a non-partisan matter that needs attention of all of us, and we must be very much compassionate about this situation. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Honorable Member, do you have a follow-up question? Honorable Sedibe.
Yeah, ngiyabonga Somlo. Well, angicela ngokulungisa ngokusho ukuthi it's not a political point scoring matter. It's a matter of a black child. It's a black life, and to me, black life matters most. I'm saying so because if it was Honorable Weber or Honorable Hoblat, Lobe Solobala Pangapans for 4 years now, ngaba sikhulumi so. In fact, if it was Hobla or Weber, ngabe kudzala bakhishiwe lapha emgodini, because it's a matter of color, bamhlophe, Honorable Premier. So it's not a matter of political point scoring. And then the problem Honorable Premier, is that Lama family are undergoing a very serious trauma. I'm not sure whether you are aware, but let it come as a question. Are you aware that about the trauma which the families are envisaging? As a result, lo baba womunye intombazane uze wafa nge-stress because ufuna resta le matter into finally for their loved one. But also, Honorable Premier, maybe as a question, usho ukuthi lo hulumende wethu qobo omphethe le akanayo lo 200 to 300 million le budget njengoba usho yokukhipha labantu hulumende waseMpumalanga. Or if anganayo usho ukuthi ningahluleka ukufundraiser 200 to 300 million just so keep labantu abanikazi bayo bobeka ithambo labo like all people. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Premier.
Thank you once again, Honorable Speaker, and thanks for the question from Honorable Sidibe. I understand the plight on the matter and the sensitivity thereof, and which is something that in common, I'm sure all of us in unison, we stand together on the very same matter. Hence, it is a concern to all of us. We speak about this matter with a heavy heart because we do understand that those are our brothers and sisters that are not laid to rest in a dignified manner. And Honorable Speaker, may I also indicate that indeed, if further counseling is needed so that we continue with the families to assist them emotionally and psychologically, certainly that rests within our competency as provincial government so that we assist them to try and heal emotionally. There is no amount of words or action that we can do at this point in time that will bring peace
within the inner souls of their families until their bodies have been recovered from the situation. That is the most critical and very crucial matter that we are constantly engaging with the Department of National Minerals and Energy to make sure that we get feedback as to how far is the business rescue process is and what are their plans, what are plans in place. Until then, we will be advised accordingly to say what action should be taken. Certainly, as provincial government, if there is indeed a role that will have to play in terms of assisting, it's not a question of money, but it's a question of doing things in a manner that has to be done. For as long as the business practitioners, the business rescue practitioners are there, we will await certainly the reports that they will come up with, and surely that report will also be submitted to national, and accordingly we will have to act. But once again, we are saying we are equally concerned, and we must remain compassionate, work with those families, be of assistance where we could. We do understand that point, Honorable Sidibe, and I'm certain we all share the same sentiment, because definitely it could have been anyone in that situation, irregardless of color of your skin or whoever, but the bottom line is an incident, a tragic incident has occurred, and it must be, we need to find closure at some point.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. I will not allow for another follow-up question. We have exhausted the 15 minutes. We are now moving to another question number 2. Honorable R.J. Sitole from the DA.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The question from Honorable Sitole reads thus: with regards to the oversight done in Siyanqoba Integrated Residential Development Program during TLP in March in 2018, can the Premier state the following? Why these above-mentioned beneficiaries of water and electricity are still not connected to their houses? In response, Madam Speaker, there have been challenges with water supply within the Siyanqoba area, which are mainly attributable to the low water pressure from the adjoining feeding reservoir. Despite the connection of houses, the water pressure is very low and cannot meet the daily household water consumption demand. There was an intervention by the Human Settlement Department on the upgrade of the bulk water line from Verena turn-off to Siyanqoba Phase 1, but this did not yield any significant result, as there was still a need for further upgrade of bulk water supply upstream by the municipality. Another challenge facing water supply in the area is that the water extraction capacity of the Witbank Dam has been exceeded, and there is a need to identify other extraction points by the municipality. On electricity connection, the municipality has made an application to the Department of Energy and Minerals for the full electrification of the area, but due to the budget shortfall, this can only be done incrementally over the medium-term strategic framework period. Question 2, can the Honourable Premier state why the municipality has over 800 people sharing one Jojo tank? About 10 Jojo tanks were purchased to be shared amongst the residents of Siyanqoba and were delivered in various areas throughout Siyanqoba. Some of these tanks have been stolen, but it is incorrect to state that only one Jojo tank caters for 800 people. Presently, the municipality is in the process of drilling a number of boreholes in order to reduce the number of households dependent on Jojo tanks. Question 3, how often does the municipality provide water in the above settlement? Water is provided on a weekly basis and in some instances at a higher frequency depending on the need. Question 4, when will these houses be connected with water and electricity?
In response, Madam Speaker, 700 houses have been connected to the grid as at the end of 2019. 300 more households have been added for electricity in the last 3 months. The water reticulation has been done on all the 8,967 stands. However, there remain some challenges with the low pressure from the reservoir at Pine Ridge. We are in a process of addressing this challenge as well as building a new extraction point to meet the increasing demand of the communities surrounding Siangoba. Question 5. Honorable Premier, how did TLP benefit the residents of Siangoba if these problems were identified as well as adopted by this House? The TLP raised the issues that were in the public domain and were being dealt with by the municipality and ourselves. These challenges had been subject to reports by departments to relevant structures of governance. Members of the legislature were appraised of the challenges confronting the area, most especially the issue around bulk water supply. This has made it important for national, provincial, and local government to channel their resources in the integrated manner to address these challenges. As the Department of Human Settlement was tasked with the responsibility of assisting the municipality with their bulk water supply, we will continue with our efforts to find better, if not alternative ways of sourcing water supply that will feed into Siangoba. We are also exploring various funding methods, which includes grants from the National Department and our own funding. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Premier. Honourable Member, do you have any follow-up question? Honourable Stole.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. My follow-up, thank you, Honourable Premier, for the responses. My follow-up question is, it put us in reverse when we built houses in places such as this, where we put a beautiful house, but people don't have access to water and sanitation. It's almost as if like it dampers the hard work that was done. And I want to know, the Honourable Premier, why do we build houses in such places when we know that we are going to face these challenges? You know, there was one lady who called me to her house, and there was sewer inside the house. So it's sort of like we've done hard work, but we are not giving all the tools for the people to live there. And situations like this, I'm sure they can be avoided in future. I just want to know why we build houses in such places. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Premier.
Honourable Speaker, I fully agree with what Honourable Sithole is saying right now. An ideal situation would have been that it starts at the municipal level, whereby they will identify a land for us to come and build in the houses. And it doesn't end with identification of a land, but also to ensure that they service the stands to allow for a top structure to come in. That is where the Department of Human Settlement comes in with the top structure and the reticulation. And that reticulation must be intertwined or connected into the bulk infrastructure, which in the main, that should have been a responsibility of the municipality. And it's so unfortunate that in certain areas, indeed, beneficiaries are registered. There has been pressure that has been exerted, and then we begin to build houses without all the necessary nitty-gritties that goes with those amenities. Hence, we end up being in this situation. However, we must indicate that we have since picked that up. That does not assist us necessarily. Hence, as provincial government, from time to time, you see us intervening in assisting the municipality to come up with the bulk infrastructure, because we cannot say that we divorce and distance ourselves from that situation, because it is happening in our shores as well. would intervene in certain areas to say that municipality, let us assist you with the bulk infrastructure so that we can start with the servicing and also the building of the top structure. But then we have since noticed that that gap is costing us, it's a problem. We've agreed, even in our last Lekutla, it was a point of emphasis to say that all the human settlement developments that are planned for this current financial year, priority must be given to those municipalities that has service stands. So we cannot perpetually continue with the pattern that creates problems to us. Definitely, you are correct, Honorable Member. We are addressing that. We've seen that shortcoming. We must acknowledge that. We acknowledge that and we have addressed that. We came up with a strategy to say that how do we ratify that mistake from happening in future so that future occurrences of this nature are no more. Thanks, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. Honorable Member, do we have any other follow-up question? Okay. Are there any follow-up questions from other members? None. Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. We're now moving to question 3 from Honorable W.L. Weber.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The question from Honorable Weber reads thus: Honorable Premier, Mbombela local municipality received a qualified audit opinion. The municipality total liability reported at the end of the financial year was 2.7 billion rands, indicating an increase of about 300 million rands compared to the previous financial year. Some of Mbombela's listed creditors are Department of Community Safety, Security and Liaison, owed 325 million rands, ESCOM owed 349 million rands, and trade creditors owed 352 million rands by the municipality. Question 1. What services do the mentioned department render to Mbombela local municipality to warrant this large unpaid amount? For clarity purposes, please elaborate with various contracts. In response, Madam Speaker, the provincial government entered into the service level agreement with the municipality to collect vehicle registration and licensing fees. The contract states that the municipality must pay over 80% of the revenue collected, and the remaining 20% the municipality may keep as agency fees. The municipality has not been honoring the provisions of the service level agreement and has not been paying over the department the 80% that we've agreed upon. Question 2. What time period has lapsed resulting in the accumulation of such debts to these departments? In response, the debt goes back as far as 2013-14 financial year. The debt has increased and accumulated interest over the years. That includes ESCOM account. Question 3, what are the relevant departments doing about the collection of unpaid revenue from Mbombela local municipality? The Department of Community Safety, Security and Liaison has had engagement with the municipality to honor the provisions of the service level agreement. Although this has not happened at the expected scale, the municipality has recently started to transfer some funds in this regard. Engagement in this regard will continue and shall be guided by the intergovernmental framework in order for service delivery not to be hampered on either side. Question 4. What are you as the Premier doing about the provincial turnaround strategy, if any, for all municipalities that suffer the same fate as Mbombela local municipality? Please detail. The plan is for the provincial government to take over the function from the non-paying municipalities. The provincial government has taken over the function from 7 municipalities and is in a process of taking over the function from Mbombela municipality. The function has been taken over by the provincial government from the following municipalities: Tabachwewu, Emakazeni, Chief Albert Lutuli, Mkondo, Govan Beki Municipality, Lekwa Municipality, Victor Kanye Municipality, and Gomazi Municipality. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Honorable Webb, do we have any follow-up question? We are fine, thank you very much. Any follow-up question from other members? None, thank you very much. We're now moving to question 4, asked by Honorable F. Vimlombo.
Honorable
From the
Speaker,
ANC.
thank you very much. The question has been asked by my Chief Whip, Honorable FV
yes.
Mlombo. Mpumalanga is one of the South Africa's top tourist destinations. Mpumalanga's rare combination of low-veld escapement, subtropical weather, summer rains, and unbelievable scenic beauty makes the province one of the country's best-kept secrets. Question 1. Does the province take advantage to market the beauty of our attraction at the international level? If yes, how? The province is marketed at various international platforms as part of our drive to implement the destination marketing strategy that was approved in 2018. Some of these platforms includes the Lito exhibition in Yekaterinburg and the Tour Operators Workshop in Moscow in the Russian Federation in April. The Africa's Travel Indaba in Durban, South Africa in May. The IMAX Frankfurt in Frankfurt, Germany in May. The Bushfire Festival in Mbabane, Eswatini in May. The ASA roadshows in 5 cities in Germany in September. The IMAX Las Vegas in the USA in September. The Sanganai exhibition in Harare, Zimbabwe in October. The Figani show in Maputo, Mozambique in October. The SAT UK school in 5 cities in the United Kingdom in November. The IBTM show in Barcelona, Spain in November. And Meetings Africa in Sentin City in February. Question 2. Do we provide sufficient safety for tourists when they have visited our province? Can the Honourable Premier elaborate on this one? Honourable Speaker, in response, the province provides sufficient safety for the tourists who visit our province. However, we must acknowledge that there have been instances of criminal conduct against some tourists in our province. The province is working with all relevant stakeholders to stop these intermittent attacks. To this effect, the MTPA has formed a tourism safety steering committee. The steering committee includes members of SAPS, traffic officials, local government, traditional leaders, private tourism sector, and other government departments. An action plan was formulated in November 2019 and is being implemented in partnership with all the relevant stakeholders. Recently, a private security company was appointed through the Department of Tourism at the national level to patrol and police the 4 crime hotspots in White River, Sabi, Hazyview, and Graskop. As part of the broader crime prevention strategy, SAPS is implementing the Tourist Safety Crime Prevention Plan, which entails the identification of tourist attraction points, which are crime hotspots, which informs the deployment to ensure there is visible policing. As part of enhancements deployment, 40 reservists have been dedicated to serve tourist attraction points and supplemented with increased allocation of patrol vehicles and foot patrols by crime prevention members. A tourist safety forum has been established and operational plans aligned to addressing all forms of crime targeting tourists and tourism industry. The Department of Community Safety, Security and License Safety has also deployed 472 tourism safety monitors who are assisting a great deal in deterring crime affecting tourists. Question 3. Can the Honorable Premier take us into confidence about job opportunities that are created for women and young people through tourism? For every 16 international tourists that visit our province, one job is created. Furthermore, 5 more indirect jobs are created when the same number of tourists visits the province. Tourism has created 1,700 job opportunities for young people through the EPWP, and these are broken down as follows. 700 jobs through the Tourism Safety Monitoring Project, 200 jobs in the food and beverage industries, 300 jobs for food security assurance jobs, 200 jobs in hospitality, and lastly, 300 jobs were created through the new venture creation. Question 4. What strategy has the provincial government implemented to ensure that the industry is transformed to empower all racial groups, in particular the Africans in the province? In 2018, Madam Speaker, the MTPA developed and approved the Tourism SMME Support Strategy. This strategy is being implemented to fast-track the entry of the previously disadvantaged individuals in the industry. The strategy focuses on skilling the new entrants and the provision of market access. Funding remains one of the biggest challenges that impedes the entry of small business in the tourism industry, and this issue is being dealt with at the national level, as the President has announced during his SONA speech that the Department of Tourism will soon start with the review of the Tourism Empowerment Fund to look at the equity fund model. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. Honorable Member Mlomo, do you have any follow-up question?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think the Honorable Premier has given a very comprehensive response. Impendulo zakhe ziyanganelisa. Anginayo omunye umbuzo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other follow-up question from other members? Honorable Setibe.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question to the Premier is as follows. Honorable Premier, are you aware that there's a high level of racism in the tourism sector, and it has been monopolized by whites in the province? SMMEs are not getting business opportunities as compared to their white counterpart. And if you are aware, what are you doing about that? Because they've been complaining in the area of Kruger National Park, Graskop, that their business is centralized in Cape Town, and they have to get the leftovers from the whites who are contracted with the authorities, and MTPA is mum on this thing. And lastly, why are you, or what is your plan about the Sutwala Caves? Because it's our natural resources, it's supposed to belong to the government, but as things stand, it's privately owned. Thank you.
Honorable Member Setibe, you are allowed to ask one question as a follow-up question as per the rules. Or the honorable member that is given, that asks the question is given two follow-up question, then other members are only given one question. Honorable Premier.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, the second one we will forward it in writing so that it is in read to the honorable member. The first question, Honorable Speaker, we want to indicate that indeed there is quite a lot of private sector interest in the tourism sector, but then to say that there are racial elements in it it's a matter that we cannot punctuate as a statement of fact. But we want to say that all strategic stakeholders that are involved in this sector, we are working very closely with them in collaboration with government. We know that in some areas there are some form of resistance. There are still those that believe that they must take control of the tourism sector, disregarding even ourselves. And I must indicate that it's not only white predominantly, even our black brothers, we know them very well. They have got direct interest representing the interest of white monopoly in this regard, trying to push us moving towards a particular direction. But we remain content and very focused to say that let the local people benefit from the riches of this province. Let us make sure that there is a fair, equitable share in our tourism destination. In a nutshell, Honourable Speaker, I want to indicate that yes, there are challenges of such nature that from time to time would creep in, but we are managing them quite well.
Thank you very much, Honourable Premier. Any other follow-up question? None. Thank you very much. We are now moving to question 5, asked by Honourable J.J. Skosana from ANC. Honourable Tabete, I've received a note that Honourable Tabete will stand in for Honourable J.J. Skosana. Honourable Premier.
Thanks, Honourable Speaker. The question reads thus from Honourable Skosana. The Mpumalanga government is planning to finance emerging farmers as part of the new initiative of the National Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development over the next 3 to 5 years. Question 1. What are the plans in place for this beautiful initiative that the People's Government is trying to achieve? In response, Honourable Speaker, through the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Land and Environmental Affairs, we are a part of a job fund initiative. The Dadlia officials are part of the team that has been established by National Department to assess and support potential farmers. The department received 65 applications for funding. After pre-assessment, 11 farmers qualified for the next stage of assessment by the National Assessment Panel. And all these farmers are from our province. Which criteria is the government going to use in order to identify people that are in need of this assistance? The National Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development advertised the call for applications through different media platforms, and further awareness was driven through our extension practitioners and agricultural economists within the province. All potential farmers are assisted by the Department of Agribusiness officials to develop business plans, which are a main requirement. There are national assessment panels that has been established to conduct assessment according to the set criteria. Qualifying farmers will then be assessed accordingly. Question 3. The initiative will need proper monitoring and evaluation for the sustainability of the project. Are we having a system in place for that? The National Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development will be monitoring and evaluating progress made by the provincial department in implementing this program. At the provincial level, Dadlia has established a task team that is responsible for the implementation, monitoring and evaluation of this program, which will be submitting quarterly reports on the progress made to the National Department. Question 4. What are the number of jobs that we envisage to create through this initiative? As part of the criteria, qualifying applicants are assessed based on the number of job opportunities set to be created seasonally and permanently through the proposed farming operations. Furthermore, the farmers must be committed to host interns for practical training within their respective farms. The actual number of job opportunities to be created through this initiative will differ for each of the successful applications. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Honorable Tabete, do we have any follow-up question?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think Honorable Premier, uphendule kahle. Safe to say, as long as they are going to implement what Premier has planned with the executive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any follow-up question from other members? Honorable Sedibe?
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Honorable Premier, our emerging farmers in the province have a lot of challenges, varying from one to another, including lack of fencing for their stock or crops, lack of boreholes or water in their farms, and the supply of seeds by the Department of Agriculture, which at sometimes arrives later in the season that is not needed anymore because of lack of proper planning. Now, are you aware about that, and what is your plan? But I hope we are aware because we have been with you in the TLPs, where these small scales or emerging farmers have been raising those frustrations. And what is your plan in addressing all those challenges? Because some complain that they even lose their stock because they went astray and then hit by cars and creating even accident, which end up killing families in the roads because of lack of fencing and stuff. And maybe coupled with that, I would like to know the total budget of the financing of these emerging farmers. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Premier.
Honorable Speaker, let me start with the last one. I don't have the total budget allocated specifically for that. If the honorable member would love to have that, certainly I would request the House to permit us to make that in read once again. Maybe to indicate that, Honorable Speaker, we do have the extension practitioners that goes around the province, and apart from the media platforms that we are utilizing to encourage our small emerging scale farmers to register themselves with the department so that an assessment can be sought in their respective farming areas. Because definitely we've got serious interest in that regard as a province that is more agricultural in nature. We are utilizing our extensional officers to go around. They drive around across the length and the breadth of the province to identify new emerging farmers, and in particular, those that are owned by black farmers, so that we can begin to assist them, understand what their needs are, and what sort of an assistance can we offer in, with regards to them producing their produce. Now, that has been done even apart from them, us waiting for them to come and register. We do go around, we knock at the door. If we see a potential farmer there, we knock at the door, we introduce ourselves and say, who's the owner here? What is happening? What is your plan? We assist them with business plans and also register them into the system, and accordingly we intervene where it is necessary. And accordingly, we want to take advantage of this question and this platform to encourage all our small emerging farmers who's got keen interest that needs support from the departments. Resources are available, and sometimes we don't spend everything. that is supposed to be spent because of the less number that is being registered in terms of small-scale farmers' assistance. So we want to call upon all of them, and those that are seated in the gallery as well, ukuthi bantu baseMpumalanga nali ithuba lisebenziseni, asiyekeni ukuthi sosebenzela amanye amadoda, asizivuleleni amathuba ukuthi nathi ngokwethu singaba baqashi. Sinayo i-potential, sinayo i-capacity ukuthi singazidalela amathuba ukuthi sidale amathuba womsebenzi emphakathini wakithi. Uma bakhona abazimisele ukuthi bangaba bofama-farmers wakusasa ukuze basilekelele nangale fresh international fresh produce esiyakhayo, kufanele siqale manje ukuzilungiselela ukuze uma sifika isikhathi lapho sivula khona siyazi ukuthi siyakasibiya sothola izimvu ngobuningi, usibiya sonalo ulwazi oluzuzile. Uma kufuneka umbila siyazi ukuthi uMamthembu ukhona kuphi ndawana thize, siyothola lo mbila sikhona ukuprocessa sithengise emazweni angaphandle ukuze umama usithole akhone ukuthi aphilise nabantwana bakhe, aphilise neminye imindeni ezabe ayiqashile ekuthuthukiseni le business la. So ngaleyo ndlela akusi ukumosha kwesikhathi ukuthi nibe khona ngaphakathi kwendlo ukuthi nani nizuze ulwazi ukuthi uhulumende wenu yini lokho akuyenzayo, maphi amathuba womsebenzi anidalela wona nisendaweni eright ukuze nikhone ukuzwa ukuthi yikuphi okunye eningakhona ukuzimela nizenzele kona. Siyabonga, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. We are moving to the next question asked by Honorable N.G. Nyembe from EFF. Honorable Premier.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Nyembe has asked the following question. The Department of Education reported in its state of readiness for the grade 12 examination that all systems were well and that they had no challenges. Question 1. Are there any results that are still not released for the 2019 grade 12 examination in Mpumalanga? In response, Madam Speaker, all registered candidates who wrote the examination for October-November 2019 received their results. If there are candidates who allege that they have not received their results, they should report their queries to the Examination Directorate of the Mpumalanga Department of Education or report directly to the head of department. It is important to highlight, however, that some progressed candidates have opted for multiple examination opportunities, which allows them to write few subjects in November and the subject in June examinations. Such candidates received results for the subject they wrote, and other subject results will be released after they've written those subjects in June 2020. There are no known candidates who did not receive their results. If schools for any reason refuse to issue results to learners, such cases must be reported to the Department of Education immediately. No school has a right to withhold results from the candidates. Question 2. If yes, how many students are affected? As I have indicated, Honorable Speaker, there are no known cases of outstanding results. Question 3. The question falls away, and same applies to question 4 and 5. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Honorable Member, do we have a follow-up question? Honorable Nyembe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The follow-up question, we will do it in writing.
For record purposes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other follow-up questions from other members? None. Thank you very much. We are now moving to question 7.
Siyabonga, Honorable Speaker. Umbuzo uvela kumhlonisha uGrobler ufundeka ngalendlela le. With regards to the police barracks in various police stations in Mpumalanga, can the Honorable Premier respond to the following? Question 1. Can the Honorable Premier state why the police barracks at Witbank Police Station has not been repaired since it burned down? The delays were largely attributable to the National Ministry of Public Works, which is the implementing agent for physical infrastructure. When the barracks burned down in March 2012, a request was made to the provincial headquarters to the National Department of Public Works, to which a procurement instruction was issued to the Mpumalanga region of the Department of Public Works in June 2017. Question 2. What is the cost of repairing the burned down barracks at the Witbank Police Station? The cost of repairs are estimated at approximately 1 million rands. The actual cost will only be ascertained once planning has been completed and construction commenced. Question 3. What is the interim plan for the police members at Witbank Police Station while the barracks are unusable? The 10 affected members were relocated to the vacant barracks within the vicinity. Is there a plan to rebuild the barracks with Witbank Police Station? If so, what is it and by when? We are engaging with the Minister of Public Works and the User Department of Police to ensure that Public Works adheres to the commitment completion of the rebuilding of these barracks. How many police barracks in Mpumalanga that are in a dilapidated state, and what will it cost government to rebuild them? The Mbalenhle barracks are in adverse condition for human habitation. The Department of Public Works is finalizing the process of determining the financial implication for the rebuilding of these barracks. Thanks, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable Grobler, do you have a follow-up question?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Yes, I do have a follow-up question for the Honourable Premier. Honourable Premier, thank you for the answers. I just think it should be noted that sometimes you get the answers and you read it to us, but if you actually listen to what you just told us, in Witbank, those barracks burned down 8 years ago, and it's still not fixed. You say some of the other ones in Mpumalanga is uninhabitable. This is people in service that we expect to look after us as citizens. They should be proud of their equipment, they should be proud of their living conditions, they should be proud of where they are and where they come from, so that they can serve with pride and actually protect the community. But then we come with an answer to say 8 years down the line and it's a national competency and we'll wait. What I want to ask you, Premier, is if you listen to the answer that you just gave this House, don't you please want to walk out of here, walk into your office, pick up your telephone, phone whoever needs to fix those barracks across the province and get them fixed so that we can get our police service, our men and women that serves us, into a pride state of where they live so that they can maybe serve us with pride. Please do that.
Thank you, Honourable Premier.
Honourable Speaker, what the Honourable Member is saying, it's exactly what we are doing. And we do have the PICC, where we sit with departments, national departments, we discuss all these matters. It's unfortunate that is not our competence, that we can say tomorrow we'll wake up and do something. It's not within our plan. But however, we cannot exonerate ourselves because we believe that we are one government, we work in an integrated approach. Hence, we took an initiative to say that we can't defer this question. We've got the responsibility to account as a responsible, concerned government and citizens of this province. Certainly, Honourable Grobler will persuade and push them to make sure that we get this barracks in a good state that is habitable, that will ensure the dignity of our men in blue. And we know how hard they are working. We must ensure that the environment in which they find themselves, it is conducive.
Thank you very much. Any other follow-up question, Honorable Member? Okay. Any follow-up question from other members now? Okay, none. Thank you very much. We are moving to question 8 from Honorable Webb.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. The question. Sapulila.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members, question 9 was withdrawn because it is more or less the same as question 3. We are now moving to question 10 by Honorable Lakshmi Narain, of which Honorable Mlombo will stand in for that, for Honorable Lakshmi Narain. Honorable Premier.
Thanks, Honorable Speaker. The question from Honorable Lakshmi Narain reads thus. Honorable Premier, you have been leading successful campaigns in the province against gender-based violence and against discrimination and killing of people living with albinism. No, not living with albinism. What has been government assessment of the main reasons for the rise of such crime in our society? There is no consensus that GBV has ceased to be a social issue because it has progressed in a drastic manner and has become a human rights issue. The increase in gender-based violence is attributable to gender power inequality that is rooted in patriarchy. Gender stereotypes are often used to justify violence against women. Cultural norms often dictate that men are aggressive, controlling, and dominant, whilst women are docile, subservient, and rely on the men as providers. This translates into low levels of women's empowerment and support, socio-economic inequality, making women more vulnerable to multi-facets and often violent abuse. In the main, attacks on people with albinism emanates from the incorrect belief that limbs of people with albinism can bring wealth or good luck when used in portions. Question 2. Have we developed a provincial strategy to deal with such crime in our society? Taking it from the pronouncement by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, the province has embarked on the initiative including a mass media campaign that targets communities, schools, and recreational facilities. This campaign targets men of all ages and inculcates a culture of gender equality. The incorporation of women's rights and gender power relations in life orientation within our school system. Gender sensitivity training for law enforcement officials and deployment of gender sensitive training for law enforcement officials on gender sensitivity. Question 3. What message the Honourable Premier would want to send to communities regarding increasing criminal activities targeted at women? I wish to emphasize, Honourable Speaker, that violence against women robs our province, not only for its moral fibre, but also for its future. I plead with all men in our province to refrain from solving problems with violence. I also plead with women to report cases of violence and report all law enforcement to all law enforcement agencies that refuse to open a case of that refuses to open a case of gender-based violence to my office. We as the provincial government will leave no stone unturned in order to ensure that perpetrators of violence against women are persecuted. Question 4. What are the social partners who are involved in the campaigns of GBV and campaign against discrimination of people with albinism? There are many stakeholders who are involved in the campaign of GBV and campaigns against discrimination of people with albinism, amongst many of them are provincial offices on status of women, portfolio committee in National Assembly and provincial legislatures, National Council of Provinces and Women Caucus in Parliament, political parties in Parliament and in our legislature, the Women's Branch, the civil society organizations with a focus on gender equality and gender-based violence, gender networks and structures, trade unions, private sector stakeholders, development donor agencies, academic stakeholders and research institutions, Chapter 9 institutions, media, faith-based organization and traditional leadership structures. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, do you have any follow-up question? Yes, Honorable Mlomo.
Mhlonishwa Somlomo, ayikho i-follow-up question. Lengifuna ukusho nje kubonga kuNdunankulu. Kuthi solokhu asukumile wathatha lo mkhankaso wekulwa nokuhlukunyezwa kwabantwana nabomake. Le tento tokuhlukunyezwa kwabantwana nabomake kule province sekehlile. So
Yes, there's a point of order.
sithandza kubonga nje so-African National Congress. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, so hleli phansi asibonge la bathi follow up question. Hayi kubongelela ubonga. Okay, thank you.
Yes, any other follow-up question?
Somlomo, ngilungise Sekela Somlomo. Can I correct the honorable member?
No, there's nothing to correct. Let's take the follow-up question and continue. Yes, Honorable Member Sidib.
Honorable Deputy Speaker. Ngiyabonga Sekela Somlo. Honorable Prim, are you aware that this gender-based violence is still rife and happening in the province of Mpumalanga, and many perpetrators still go away with it? A case in point, there is a woman who was killed by a taxi owner last week, and that taxi owner from around Nelspruit is still walking free in the street. The police are not arresting him because they are afraid of him because he's a taxi warlord. So what is your plan around such situation? Because it is there. There are photos of the dead woman. The newspapers do have it and everything. We went to the police. They are telling, but when we investigate, you can find that the police investigators are afraid of that man because apparently previously he killed some because he has been doing that.
Okay, Honorable Premier.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, we must indicate that this gender-based violence, it's a very sensitive matter. It's a matter that we must all work very hard to nip it in the bud. It is true what the Honorable Sdibe is saying, that despite all the efforts that are being done, despite all the pronouncement and despite all the initiations of promulgation of the legislation that will sought to assist in this regard, but for some other reason, our male counterparts, they still find joy in doing this horrific and gruesome killings of innocent souls. It's a matter that worries us very deeply. It's a matter that leaves us shattered to say, what then? What is it that needs to be done to stop and curb this scourge once and for all? I'm not surprised to hear that just recently there is another case. An innocent woman, she went to attend and celebrate with the women in her organization in Bushbuckridge. Upon her coming back home to be integrated in abantwana bakhe, the former boyfriend, the woman has 4 children. She gets into the house, sneaking in, shaya lo mama, uthi uyabaleka, uyathatha ibhodlela uyamgwaza just in front yabantwana bakhe. Just a recent incident that tells you ukuthi men are so determined to kill us brutally as women. That tells you that they will not stop, they will stop at nothing because they are cowards. Hence we are saying, us alone as women, we cannot keep this scourge from happening. We need you with your masculinity to assist us and knock sense in your male counterparts. Now, Honorable Steve, help me. You know that taxi owner. Tell that taxi owner to go. I use surrender my poison. He must do what is right. Tell that man to report himself in my poison. Our police are working very hard. I mean, most of the cases that are happening here in Mpumalanga, they track down all those perpetrators and they successfully arrest them. You know, this is just another case that even this one has already been arrested. And equally, the judiciary, they take a very firm stance based on the evidence before them. They will arrest you, they will persecute you and give you the sentence that you deserve. So it is equally our responsibility as citizens to work very closely with them so that if we know who's the perpetrator, where can you find the perpetrator, let's engage those perpetrators or go to the police so that they can apprehend them. So I would request and plead with you, Mhlonishwa, ukuthi ngincede ukuthi utaxi driver yobanjwa namhlanje. Ngincede ukuthi utaxi driver uyamazi akabanjwe. Siyabonga.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Can we go to the next question asked by Honorable NP Mkabela from the EFF?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The question is from Honorable Mkabela from EFF. The primary purpose of providing meals at schools, especially from the previously disadvantaged communities, is not only to give tenders, but to make sure that all kids go to class on full stomachs. Question 1. In percentage form, out of all qualifying schools, how many are not getting feeding meals and what are the reasons? In response, Honorable Deputy Speaker, all qualifying schools ranked in quintiles 1 to 3 are provided with meals 100% in our province. This service is extended to needy learners who are in non-qualifying schools, which are fee-paying schools. Question 2. What plans does the government have to ensure all the schools in this category get supplied with the feeding meals? There are no schools ranked quintiles 1 to 3 that do not benefit from the NSNP. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Member, do you have any follow-up question?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And thank you, Honorable Premier, for the response. I have one follow-up question, Honorable Premier. What informs the Cabinet to move the GNP from the Department of Education to Agriculture, and why? Thank you.
Honorable Premier.
Thanks, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The Department of Agriculture is the department that is responsible for producing all the fresh produce. As provincial government working in an integrated effort to ensure that our small-scale farmers does benefit from this entire value chain system, instead of procuring services from well-established farmers, laba abanabo ithingabiza amagama abantu ngoba mara nilungela kunamuntu ozangibamba la abo food lovers, nabo bani, they are well established. Siyahamba sithenga laphana, labantu bakithi laba esikhala ngabo mhlonishwa Mkhabela ukuthi abanamsebenzi. Noma bangaproducer lokudla bayothengela ubani. So thina sibone ithuba lokuthi singuhulumeni njengoba sibagcugcuzela ukuthi njengama-farmers amancane asafufuza asibanikeni ibhizinisi ukuthi nabo bakhona ukuhwabelana. Charity begins at home. It has to start with us, trying to assist them with making sure ukuthi number one, they are established. Mabaqeda uku-establishwa, then what? The next step is all those produced will assist them through our agri-hubs way to see the package and make sure that they are of good quality standards and coach them and guide them to produce quality produce so that those produce can also be purchased by us as government. Then ukuthi sithathele mali sinike ama farmers eseka-thuthukile. So the whole intention was a noble gesture to say that how do we ensure that we establish our own and from then we create a market for them there and there. After producing, you know exactly those produce will be consumed through the feeding scheme, will be consumed through izibhedlela zethu, and encourage other departments outside the provincial government, even those national departments like your correctional services, to purchase from our small-scale farmers. The intention was squarely based on that, nothing else.
Thank you. Is there any other follow-up question? Honorable Sadiq.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Honorable Premier, I think me and you know very well that we had some serious challenges previously on the GNP when it was administered in the mega state-owned enterprise entity, wherein the small-scale farmers we are talking about were not paid for 3, 4, 6 months. And wherein, upon investigation, also established that even the consultant who was managing the GNP or mediator between the small-scale farmers and the entity was also not paid millions and millions of rand, which resulted in this business of those small-scale farmers being dying. Now, what will be the difference if you take it from education to agriculture? Because to me, that's the same thing as in a mega. Because what we must also understand here, this GNP also come with conditional grant, because it's specifically for education. I think there's a special conditional grant made for it in the Department of Education. What is the law saying? Is it allowed? Are we going to move it with the conditional grant that is meant for education to agriculture? Because agriculture, in my understanding, has its own conditional grant as well. So if can balance us there, but also what changes? We understand the whole idea behind the empowerment of the small-scale farmers. But because it has failed before, do we have a new plan? Because it failed at mega, do we think it will pass by agriculture? And then the law in between in terms of the conditional grant movement and so forth. Because it's education, I believe, which must account about the conditional grant in terms of the government nutrition program. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Premier.
It is imbalance, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker. Honorable Member, this is the grant that has been appropriated to the Department of Education. The grant remains within the Department of Education. Now, over and above that, you've got an agriculture department that is doing exactly what would ordinarily go and buy to those well-established farmers. We are saying because they assist with the responsibility of collating and assisting all small-scale farmers. You see, they must be a middleman, sort of, that is not profiting like a third agency, local consultant okhuluma ngayo, so that as they produce these small-scale farmers, bamixa kuma agri-hubs wabo, then they say, department, these are the produce that are at our disposal. They facilitate that transition within the value chain system. But that grant, we're not saying it must move as is. But they will pay as they receive the produce. They will pay ilona ukuthi okay, nisnika amatamatisi we 50 rand, na 50 rand yenu. Batalane lama small scale farmers. So imega sisazoyisebenzisa because ama storage pots wethu anemega, ama fridge akhona la we need to store, keep the produce in a right temperature form. We'll still store them kwa mega. And then beseke laba baka education baka health kanye futhi nabanye ama participants, they'll get those produce from there, and then beseke bayahamba bayophekela abantwana esikoleni.
Good, thank you very much, Premier. Can we move to the next question?
Yeah, sorry, Speaker. With due respect,
Yes.
just to request the plan. I don't get it. I think their proper plan in writing, so that we can study it very well. If they can submit to the office of the Speaker, the office here, we must understand. we
Okay,
cannot
no,
just
it's fine.
accept it.
It's fine, Honorable Member. Although bengakakunothanga nje. So it's up to the Premier to accept to respond in writing further.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ngimlekelele because kubalekile ukuthi sifundisane. And sometimes kulula simane siyakhuluma, and sometimes sikhuluma out of ukuswela ulwazi. Sometimes sikhuluma because of kuna something enfuna ukusikhoshina ukuthi asenzeni so sibambisaneni so. But lokho sikushoyo yiloko vele kwenzakala ngakhona. Makuba ufuna iplan ungayicela ku portfolio committee, department izaza ipresent. But the whole idea initiative injalo nje phela. Sifuna abantu bakithi bahlomule.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Can we go to the next question? I see Honorable Member Krove Morgan is not here. Yes, we are.
Deputy Speaker,
Honorable Member Sedibe.
just on that point, we did submit she's sick, we did submit a sick letter, so I will be standing in for a question. It was communicated with the Office of the Speaker this morning.
Was the Office of the Speaker notified beforehand? It was. Okay. Let me just. Okay, thank you, Honorable Member. I think that issue has been clarified. So we will take the question, Honorable Premier.
Thanks, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The question is from Honorable Grove Morgan from DA. It reads thus: Honorable Premier, the Tegwane South Housing Project started in 2015 and was set to be completed in 2017. Remained abandoned and vandalized by June last year. Given the above, will the Premier answer the following questions? At inception, how much in rents was this project going to cost government, and how much money has been used since then? The total cost of the Tegwane Integrated Human Settlement is 169 million rands, and to date, an amount of 74,849,831 rands has been spent so far on servicing of the sites, construction of top structures, and provision of bulk infrastructure. As this project was to be completed in July, what were the reasons which led to the 2-year delay? The Tegwane South Housing Development Project could not be completed on time due to the unavailability of bulk sewer and water line in the area. In order to address this challenge, a service provider was appointed for the installation of these services. Progress on site was further hindered by the municipality's request to change the pipeline design to accommodate prospective future development in the area, as informed by the master plan commissioned by the municipality. More so, during trenching and laying of pipelines, grave sites were uncovered. This led to a further consultation with the Heritage Council and environmental specialists, which resulted to more delays in the project. All of the above were critical path items which ultimately led to the delay in the completion of the bulk infrastructure, and hence the planned 200 low-cost houses date also shifted. Question 3. A deadline of August.
Honorable Shonga ngahamba sakorate. Honorable Shonga chinga. Ansa korate phela ngahamba wena. Ansa korate singahamba thina ke. You can't correct in opposition. You must come.
What's the howling about?
No, okay, through you,
Yes,
Speaker.
Honourable Member.
Sorry, yeah. My humble apology. I'm saying you must not allow Honorable Shonga to leave, because if Honorable Shonga leaves, then you don't correct.
Leaving
Then you
you-
can't correct in opposition with us here.
By leaving,
must
do you
correct-
mean, sorry, Honourable Member, by leaving you mean he must not go to the bathroom?
I mean leaving the house. If it's going to the bathroom, here's the bathroom here. We are Pulanga.
Okay, no, hlala pass, Honourable Member.
Is it going to the bathroom?
Yeah,
You
hlala
sure?
pass, yeah.
Okay.
Continue, Honourable Premier.
Question 3. The deadline of August 2019 was given for the completion of this project. Is it now completed? No, the deadline of August 2019 could not be met due to the late completion of the bulk sewer and water line, as mentioned earlier on. However, the works are currently being finalized and plans for testing and commission in March 2020. Question 4. If not, why has the deadline been missed? The unavailability of bulk sewer and water line in the area, as I have alluded to, led to the overall delay in delivery of the housing development in the area, and more so the rocky ground condition that required blasting. The contractor consciously had to slow down the pace of completing the housing units so as not to entice vandalism and sewer spillages. Question 5. Are there more abandoned projects like this in other areas of the province? No, there are none, although there is a similar experience in Richview, Balfour, where the completion of bulk infrastructure has affected the completion of low-cost housing development in the area. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Premier. Honourable Member, stand in for Honourable Rovemo again. Do we have any follow-up question?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Yes, I've just got one follow-up question for the Premier. Premier, thank you for the answers. I just want to know, we had the TLP in Lekwa in 2016. What happened to the Extension 8 human settlements since we took legislator to the people there? Are the homes there still without water, without sanitation, without basic infrastructure?
Thank you, Honourable Premier.
Honourable Speaker, that is the new question, which is not related to this one. I would therefore request that we make a submission in read to the Honourable Member. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honourable Grobler. Do we have any other follow-up question? We are fine. Thank you very much. Any other follow-up questions from other honourable members? None. Thank you very much. We're now moving to question 13 by Honorable B.M. Lubisi from ANC. Stand in, it's Honorable Makaringe. Honorable Premier.
The question is from Honorable Lubisi. Honorable Premier, the ANC-led government has a respected House of Traditional Leadership. A number of challenges arise in relation to service delivery in different areas of traditional authorities. Are these traditional authorities contributing positively to service delivery in their own areas? In response, yes, they do contribute positively to service delivery and nation building in their own areas. If yes, can the Honourable Premier elaborate on that? They participate in government programs, what that would be your ward committees, your war rooms, integrated development plans, and local economic development. They also participate in municipal councils. They promote culture and customs through imimemo, the other cultural practices for their particular traditions. They promote moral regeneration through social cohesion, and they provide proof of residence to community members within their jurisdictions. How come that other chiefs do not want to contribute land for farming for their subjects, e.g. the plight of farm workers from Umbaba estate? Our traditional leaders remain fully committed to the development of their areas of jurisdiction through agricultural initiatives. We have not encountered any incidents of Ubukosi Betu refusing their subjects permission to farm on arable land belonging to a traditional council. A good example is Inkosi Ungomani, who provided land to the workers who were expelled by Umbaba farm. This land is one of the farms that will form part of our Emerging Black Farmers program. Question 4. How far is our government in resolving conflicts of chieftainship in the affected area in Mpumalanga? The MEC for Kokta is meeting with the affected royal families, communicating the findings, decisions of the commissions. The department is also assessing the development genealogy report for each traditional council to minimize succession disputes on traditional leaderships in the province. The Provincial House of Traditional Leaders has established a committee that deals with disputes resolutions within the traditional leadership in the province. Thanks, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Premier. Honourable Makaringa, do you have a follow-up question?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I think the Honourable Premier has responded to all the questions correctly, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other follow-up questions from other honourable members? We are fine. Thank you very much. We are now moving to question 14 by Honourable T.M. Makaringe from the ANC. Honourable Premier.
The question is from Honourable Makaringe. Our province largely depends on agriculture for economic development and job creation. During the last State of the Province address, the Honourable Premier said, we have completed the Mkhulu Agri-Hub and anticipate completing the Mkondo Agri-Hub in the current financial year. Can the Honourable Premier give us light on the operational state of readiness in relation to Mkhulu Agri-Hub? The Mkhulu Agri-Hub has been operational from the 1st of April 2019. The department has appointed a service provider to operate the Agri-Hub for a period of 5 years. Are there any good stories to tell in this hub if it is operational? The Agri-Hub is in its early stages of operations and it has started to show sustainability. Different types of commodities are delivered by farmers on a daily basis. The Agri-Hubs are identified and strategically positioned as a distribution point for the government nutrition program. Question 3, how far is the completion of the Mkondo Agri-Hub? Can the Honourable Premier explain in details the progress in the completion of the above-mentioned Agri-Hub so far? The Mkondo Agri-Hub was completed at the end of November 2019. The contractor has finished the snag listing at the end of February 2020. The department anticipates to commence with the operation in the next financial year. Question 4. Can the Honorable Premier brief the House on the measures taken to complete the Siabusa Agri-Hub and how much has been spent thus far? The provincial government, through the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Land and Environmental Affairs, intends to convert the current Agri-Hub into a pack house. The department plans to identify potential sites where the Agri-Hub will be constructed to benefit the local farmers within Kangala district. The total expenditure for the project as implemented by Dr. J.S. Morokal municipality is at 27 million rands plus. Thanks, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Honorable Makaringi, do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. The response by the Honorable Premier has got a good story to tell. But let me also ask this question. Before that, the Honorable Premier has also responded to the question raised by Honorable Mkhabele and Honorable Sidibe in terms of GNP to be moved to agriculture. I think the response thereof is very clear and the importance of why these things has been done. The completion of the two agri-hubs and the one at Dr. J.S. Morok is very assisting to our emerging farmers, because what Honorable Sidibe was raising, that emerging farmers were owned by service providers, it's no longer going to happen. So I want to check, Honorable Premier, as to what is the progress in terms of the construction of the state-of-the-art Mpumalanga fresh produce, where the 3 agri-hubs will be feeding to the fresh produce. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Premier.
Honorable Speaker, in fact, that is the new question, but however, I will respond to it. Honorable Speaker, from its inception, the International Fresh Produce was an initiative that we have made as government, we've undertaken as government. But then, given the magnitude and the costs that is involved in that project, it was very clear to us that we might not be able to carry the cost alone as government. Hence, we needed to go out very robustly to sort for investors to come in and join hands. And we are continuously doing that. And there are interested potential investors, and some of them we've already seen coming forth to come, the investors from Moscow, to come and see what is it that is happening, how can they partner in strategically with us. But however, to date, we've not firmed up any agreement amongst those that are interested. And continuously, as we take the outbound missions, we don't leave that subject out. We make sure that we are calling for investors to come into the space so that they invest. As things stand, we have decided to say that let us put up this international fresh produce into phases. The phase in which we are in right now, it's a phase 1 project, which initially the whole project was squarely done by MEGA. Now, we've since realized that we have overburdened MEGA. Then we've decided that in this current financial year, in fact, from the previous financial year, we have then taken the project away from MEGA and given the project for monitoring and implementation to the Department of Public Works so that they carry on with that. But the funding thereof, it remains with the department that is responsible, which is DDET. Now, DDET will continue in ensuring that the phase 1 is carried forth of the international fresh produce. So there are structures, Honorable Makaringa, that are on the way, but our priority in this coming financial year, we will be much more preoccupied with the phase 1. but we will not deter from inviting investors to join in hands with us in making sure that we do execute that. And by the way, Honourable Speaker, I must also indicate that the Office of the Presidency has a special infrastructure project. They were visiting provinces to say that we must give them top 10 projects in the province that we want them to assist us in terms of funding. So amongst the 10 projects that we have registered with them, it's this international fresh produce. So we are constantly engaging and we'll make sure, and as soon as we do get funding, we'll accordingly update the portfolio committee responsible of all the departments that are happening in that regard. Thanks, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Premier. Are there any other follow-up question, Honourable Makareng? We are fine. Thank you very much. Any other follow-up questions from other honourable members? Honourable Mufokeng.
Ngibonge Speaker, bengifuna ukuthola kahle ku-Premier ukuthi la kuMkhondo Agri Hub ukusuka eDipaliseng ukuya ePiet Retief, it's 240 kilometers. So le ndaba leyo ukuthi kuzoba nama sub hub like njengaseLikwa, just ukuthi abalimi bangaspendi more on diesel ukuya le, ugcine njani ngalapho? Ngaqhubeka ngesibili Speaker.
No, when you are allowed to answer, to make only one follow-up question.
Ngiyabonga. Thank you.
It's only the okay. Honourable Premier.
Okay. Now, Honourable Speaker, it's a first question. It's a new question on its own, but we will respond to the Honourable Member Mfukeng. It is true that there would be packing station along the way so that we avoid long distance traveling of farmers from Mkondo. We need to save costs, and then where they will drop off their produce, which will be assessed, properly packed, and be taken to the agri hubs, and accordingly right up to the last destination. So we have identified, as we are saying, that the one that we are busy with in Marapiana, we will convert that into a pack house, which will then feed into the agri hub and ultimately up to the international fresh produce. Whilst that is still under construction, it will feed up to the refrigeration system that we have in Mega so that we can feed in our students or whoever. So that is the current operation that we are embarking on.
Thank you very much, Honourable Premier. Any other follow-up questions? I think you are done. Thank you very much. We're now moving to question 15 from Honourable G.A. Mufokeng, EFF. Honourable Premier.
Honourable Speaker, the question is from Honourable Mufokeng. It reads thus: the Demarcation Board consultative meeting in Bombela on the 5th of February collapsed after residents of Umjindi stormed the venue as they demand the re-establishment of their own local municipality, cutting ties with Bombela local municipality. Their prospects are so severe that it affects schooling and other essential services. What plans do we have to reconvene the meetings? In response, the consultative meetings are convened by the Municipal Demarcation Board. The Demarcation Board develops a schedule of meetings for the whole country and resources are allocated accordingly. The City of Mbombela has been advised to write to the Demarcation Board requesting them to reconvene the meeting. What action is the government going to take regarding the demands of the Umjindi communities that they want their own municipality? The MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs has written to the Demarcation Board. The response received by the Demarcation Board is to the effect that there shall not be any consideration of any application for demarcations or redetermination of outer municipal boundaries until the 2021 local government election. only what delimitation will be considered in the period between 2019-2021 local government elections. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. Honorable Mufokeng, do you have a follow-up question?
No, thanks, Speaker. Actually, the question one ngambutile la, bengifuna ukubona ukuthi uPremier ufocus naso ngiyabonga. Thanks.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Any other follow-up questions from other honorable members? Honorable Grobler?
Ahlekenzeka speaker ukuthi ngingcingivadile ngisifocus.
Honorable Grobler.
Speaker, thank you very much. Honourable Premier, I hear the answers to the questions, but I'm very concerned because the MEC of Kokta addressed some of the crowds in Umjindi. And he actually promised them that the two municipalities will split again. So what do you do if a MEC goes to the community, who's obviously upset about the fact that they were amalgamated against their will, but it was pushed through because it was a political decision at that time. We were all part of that process, and we knew we knew what was going to happen. We knew that the residents of Umjindi is going to suffer, and that Umjindi, who was a financially stable municipality, were actually just used to make Mbombela bigger so that they can be a city. And now those residents are in the protests, and the MEC of Kokta went there and he promised them that they will be unamalgamated again, which we know is against process. There's no way in which we can do it. So what are we going to do with that one?
Honorable Premier?
Honorable Speaker, if indeed what the Honorable is saying, it's very unfortunate for MEC to make such an irresponsible statement. Very, very unfortunate, and I'll take it up with him. How the demarcation board works, it works within the ambit of the law. That is quite prescriptive to say how does the process unfolds. We know that from the beginning of the new administration, over the next coming 36 months, the outer boundary process begins. That is the process that the community of Umjindi are fighting over. Now, the outer boundary, you have to do that within the first 36 months of the new administration. Beyond that, that time has lapsed. The remaining 24 months, you only deal with the wall-to-wall scheme. That is your inner boundaries, your wards. The process as is now, demarcation can only consult on the basis of wall-to-wall scheme within our municipalities. That process, if it has to happen, it will happen immediately after the inception of the new administration of the next council sitting. That's when the process of the outer boundaries shall be opened. And by all means, certainly, if the community of Umjindi feels so strong that they want to divorce from Mbombela municipality, that is an opportunity where they can call in for those submissions, and the MEC accordingly will inform the demarcation board, which will then come and investigate the possibilities and begin to conduct consultations within the communities. Upon the completion of those consultations, an informed decision being informed by other factors that goes with it. Then they will make their own determination and accordingly write to us formally to inform us that this is the stance that they are taking. So until that process, for us to make such pronouncement, and I want to repeat that again, it's misleading, unfortunate, and irresponsible. Ours is to support the process at the right time, because we are working together with the demarcation board, acknowledging their independence as well. But then at the center of that, the MEC will be driving that process. Thanks, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Premier. Any other follow-up question? There is none. We're now moving to question 16 by Honorable R.J. Sitole from DA. Honorable Premier.
Honorable Stole has asked the following question, Honorable Speaker. In November 2019, the Premier stated that the Mpumalanga government has resolved to install scanners, cameras, and panic buttons in all health institutions. Question 1. Can the Honorable Premier give an update on all the installations that have taken place since November 2019? We have reactivated the installed CCTV system at Witbank and Middleburg hospitals and installed turnstiles at Mapulaneng hospitals and Witbank hospitals and Middleburg hospitals. Furthermore, we have appointed consultants who are busy determining the scope of work and is in process to appoint contractors to install turnstiles and security gates across all our health facilities. The Department of Health has also advertised a tender for the installation of CCTV cameras and panic buttons. Can the Honourable Premier give the total cost to install the above safety equipment in all public hospital health institutions in Mpumalanga? The total estimated cost to install the above safety equipment in all public health institutions in Mpumalanga, it's in the region of 487 million rands. Question 3. Can the Honourable Premier state the timeline in which all public health institutions will receive the above safety equipment? We will strive to ensure that all public health facilities receive safety equipment by 2025, pending the availability of funds. However, we will prioritize the hotspot facilities during the 2021 financial year. Can the Honourable Premier state if the tenders was advertised, and if so, what was the tender number? The tender for appointment of service providers for the installation, commissioning and maintenance of CCTV cameras, biometric system, panic buttons, electronic access control systems and other security-related equipment for a period of 3 years with an option of 2 years renewal was advertised on the Mpumalanga Provincial Tender Bulletin, which closed on the 14th of February 2020 with a bid number HEAL 201/19/201 MP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Any follow-up question, Honorable Sitole?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Premier. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other follow-up questions from other honorable members? None. Thank you very much. Honorable Premier, I think you have exhausted your 120 minutes, which is 2 hours. So we have come to the end of the question time. In terms of Rule 3 of the rules and orders, the Premier should submit the responses in writing for the remaining questions that have not been responded to. The responses will be circulated to all the members of the legislature.
Siyabonga, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity.
Honorable, thank you very much, Honorable Premier. We are now moving to the next item. The Secretary shall read the second order of the day. Secretary.
The order number 2, consideration of a report of the Portfolio Committee on Premier's Office, Finance, Economic Development and Tourism on the Mpumalanga Second Adjustments Appropriation Bill B-2020.
I think, honorable members, as I am counting, we are not correcting. So I think we will adjourn the House. And we're supposed to be 16 in all, and we're not 16. We will adjourn the House. We will deal with the short title of the second adjustment appropriation bill in the next meeting, because yes, we are not correcting. So I will request that honorable members remain standing up until the procession has left the chamber. The house is adjourned until the 17th of March 2020 at 14:15 in this very same chamber.